Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Mack from the Black Heroes Podcast. Sadly, I don't have my other half with me, Curtis. Sounds kind of toxic. I don't want to be toxic, but that sounds kind of suspect. Pause. But I do have a guest with me today, Phoenix from the Anime T.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So today I
So,
have a. Oh, you was. I thought that was your stuff.
oh
Sorry.
no, I'm awkward like that. You go ahead.
But nah, today I have her with me to talk about how to make a male MC. So to kind of go over a quick synopsis of it, it's pretty much just talking about what qualities make a great male main character and how do other characters and events help make them a great lead. I really wanted to make sure to have you in on this, Phoenix, because I feel like it's something that really should be talked about from both sides of the spectrum because the way a male is going to see a male is a lot different between how a female sees a male. So I'm
Mhm.
really glad you're here to give the female side perspective on this, and I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, sadly Curtis couldn't be here. Stuff popped up, things happened, but all I would have been doing was making fun of him anyway. So now we can get to the real heart of the of the topic. Shouts to Curtis.
Poor Curtis. We'll poke at him in spirit.
But to kind of jump right into it, so Phoenix, what's some examples of great male leads and some things that to you make them a good lead?
Hmm. I would say like some of my favorite ones, and I'm a weird person because I kind of like toxic characters to an extent.
Ooh.
So I wouldn't say some of my favorite ones. I'm gonna say some of the ones that I like in terms of like how they're set up. And they're usually the main characters are the ones that are like a lot calmer and like chiller than the toxic characters that I like. But I think I like just like funny, like um energetic, but also like compassionate and like strong leads. So like when I think of a good main character, I always think of like Tanjiro because he's like it's like from Demon Slayer because
Hmm.
I feel like he's
That's a
like a
good choice.
strong, but he's also really compassionate. He cares about his sister, cares about his family. But he also is not like super naive. Like he doesn't think he can just do everything on his own. Like he relies on other people to like help him out and help him grow. So I think he's a good main character. Um, and kind of characters like that who are not super full of themselves, but even if they are, they just have a good personality.
Yeah, that's
um,
actually a really good
oh, and
example.
yeah, and on the kind of on the other spectrum of that, I kind of am thinking of like like summer anime that's premiering today, and I'm thinking of Anos from what is it called?
Misfit of
Uh,
Demon Academy.
yeah, the Misfit of Demon Academy. Because I
And
like him. He's a good
it's
main
hard to
character.
hate him.
It's hard to hate him. It's just he's a little too overpowered, but he kind of makes it funny, and he's also a really really nice character. So I
Yeah.
really like him.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's the Misfit of Demon Academy is definitely one of my highlights for summer anime. I've just been enjoying it. Surprisingly, I normally don't like characters like that, but his character is so fun that you can't
Same,
hate him.
yeah. I feel the same. Like I usually don't like characters or shows like this, but I don't know, something about this one just is just so funny. You really can't hate him.
Seriously, and not to mention not only him, but the cast is actually really likable.
Oh yeah, oh
It's,
yeah.
it's been
I
a
love
it's been a
Misha.
while. It's been a
Me too,
while.
Misha.
I can't lie. I'm Team Sasha.
No, it's
it,
all
it,
right.
I, I just like. I mean, nah, I like Misha a lot. I prefer her. When she interacts with Anos instead of
Mhm.
Sasha. I just like Sasha in general. It's just like the attitude.
I feel that though. I like characters with her kind of attitude mostly too. I just like Misha because she's just so sweet.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen a show like this that I actually enjoyed. I think the closest
Mhm.
thing to this is like Overlord, but I couldn't really get into Overlord like that.
Uh, See, I never saw Overlord because it's usually not the kind of show I'm into, so I just like skip it. But I'm trying to give more stuff a chance.
I wanted to go back and watch it because of Isekai Quartet. Now and like I thought the
Oh
characters are
yeah.
funny. Yeah, the characters are funny in that show. So I was like, maybe I should give it another chance. I just been lazy on doing that. But for me, on my examples of great male leads, I mean, not to sound like a musclehead, but yeah, avid shonen protagonist is normally my favorite type of character, to be honest. I mean, I
Fun.
like, yeah, some of my favorite characters like Yusuke, Ichigo, Luffy, Asta, the characters that, kind of rough around the edges or they have their quirks about them, but at the end of the day, they're still nice people. It's just like, it's more underneath the surface than what's on the surface. 'Cause, like a character
Mhm.
like Midoriya is like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
It's not really. Well, I'm a big fan of eccentric characters, so the characters that
Mhm.
normally a lot of people don't like, I tend to gravitate towards. But I'm a
Mhm.
weird guy myself, so that's why. But yeah, so so that's some of my favorite characters, like Edward Elric, like
Yeah.
definitely a top five character. Katoki Sakata from Gintama. I know a lot of people don't really know about the show or watch the show, but that's a guy that, he's just all around imperfectly perfect because
Mhm.
he's a drunk, he loves to eat sweets, he plays around, doesn't take too much stuff seriously, but it's nobody else I've seen that's just dropped gems and just dropped like encouraging words or just done things
Mhm.
that are just so impactful. So that's definitely why he's one of my favorites. So I mean, just characters like that. So yeah, average shonen protagonist, that's normally my favorites.
Yeah,
And
and I am one of the people who have not seen Gintama, but I know that he's a good character. I've heard good things.
yeah, yeah. So characters like and also because like he doesn't care. He'll say whatever. That's also why I like these characters. They'll normally say whatever they want to. Like Yusuke, one of his most famous lines is when they're fighting the guy who's actually dressed up as a girl. He's just like, I don't care if it's a
Mhm.
girl, kid, or somebody's grandma. I'll knock him out. I just like
Yeah.
attitude. I just like attitudes like that. And like people will say whatever.
Yes.
But most definitely, that's one of the things that having your foreground for characters that you like, because everybody has their types and tropes that they like. Like some people will like a character like Midori, like, oh, I like the wholesome, nice character, and that's also fits
Mhm.
Tanjiro very well as well, because
Yeah.
Tanjiro, yeah, he's a wholesome and nice character, but he also isn't about being cruel. So if he has to get stern, he will get stern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fight
And
with
that's why I
Inosuke.
mentioned Tanjiro. I know, and that's why I mentioned Tanjiro instead of Midoriya because I feel like a lot of people mention him, and I like him too. But I think um like initially he's also still really naive, and he kind of doesn't have that like he doesn't have a life not a life event, but he doesn't have certain events that happen to him that kind of help him grow into a kind of character that Tanjiro is. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like he's just a little still young at heart, and Tanjiro's kind of like settled his mind up to like be an adult. I don't know.
Now I see what you're saying because I actually have that same. I won't really say gripe, but it is a thing that makes me like a character like Asta a bit more than Midoriya because
Mhm.
because a thing for Asta is people will be like, oh, Asta's loud and dumb, but they'll never really take. Do you watch Black Clover? I should ask that before I get into this.
I haven't seen all of it. Like I barely have on like the first season still. Like I
No.
started it and then I fell off to watch a bunch of other anime. But I know like a few things about Asta, but I probably don't know things that are happening now.
Yeah, so I mean, not to get too deep into it, but like Asta has because people say like he has no growth, but Asta has a
Mhm.
actual development from where in the first big fight that he's in against Heathcliff in Saucy
Mhm.
Village, where he's just like, hey, you're a bad guy, you're attacking people, I'll just go ahead and take you out.
Mhm.
To growing to like, hey, our enemies hate us, and I kind of want to know why. So that way we could either stop fighting or
Hmm.
just to learn from, the mistakes that's happened. So, when and then there's also another fight where somebody tries to pull the old Goku Radix thing, like, hey, you don't have to fight me no more. I've learned from my mistakes. Please don't hurt me anymore. And Asta's just like, come on now. Did you really think I would fall for that? So it's just a moment where but he is a kind person, because I always said for Asta, like, if you took
Yeah.
away his yelling and he learned how to do multiplication, you'd have Midoriya.
And he was smart. Then he.
Yeah, like
Oh.
if he didn't yell and he was actually smart, like, you would just have Midoriya. Like, they're both the same level of kind. They both do
Hmm.
the same level of well, all right, maybe not same level because Asta's a tank, but they constantly train. People
Yeah.
like them, stuff like that. They leave strong impressions. So it's like, if you just took away like two qualities from Asta, you'd have Midoriya, which I
Hmm.
always found funny. So, and that's normally why I like eccentric characters, because I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's just something else that happens with them. Their actions speak louder than their words, but most people only know how
Yeah.
to interpret words and stuff. I don't know what I was trying to say.
Interpret could be a word, so I feel you. What what
I
that
wasn't made
reminded
up.
me exactly. What that reminded me of though when you're talking about Asta, I don't know why, but that reminded me of Eren from Attack on Titan and how I love him now.
It's a really good. That's actually a really good comparison. I mean,
Yeah,
'cause
I don't know what it was exactly that you said that reminded me of it, but I think because he was kind of like that typical shonen main character where he was just like, revenge story. I'm gonna go kill all these titans because they kill my family and ruin everything. Like I'm gonna go kill him. And then he had the superpower, so he's like, okay, I can use my power to kill him. And that was him for like the first two seasons. And then we saw he actually got to see how everything took place, and then his entire character changed. And I love when characters go do like a super huge like character growth moment, or like they have an understanding of something that they didn't before, and that changes their entire perspective on life. And it's just he's such a good character. Like I used to hate him to pieces because he was so annoying and not fun and just like about attacking like titans, and now he's just like, you know
yeah, I
things
mean,
are things suck.
I like,
Like
yeah, I like how he's grown. I'm a little bit crossed on like how I feel about him now,
mhm.
because it's kind of like that thing where, like, yeah, I might understand where you're coming from, but you still tripping, dog. So it's like, now it's a bit of a question mark depending on how
Mhm.
everything ends. But
True.
yeah, but definitely like eccentric characters. I just love when they do things that catch you off guard, and
Mhm.
like how they act. So I think for like male MCs that are like that, it's just more, I don't say more fun, but it's a little bit more exciting for me personally.
Yeah. 'Cause you're usually there's like tropes in anime, especially with like main characters and in shonen, that like they usually act the same and do the same thing. So when a character kind of like breaks that mold or does something outside of it to make them more memorable, then it makes it more fun to watch because you're like, oh, okay, they're not just like a Goku, another
Yeah,
Goku, or
they're
another,
not they're not one dimensional. There's actually a bigger
yeah,
thing to them. Yeah, but
yeah,
it's like for eccentric characters, like for characters that are normally just bound and don't really change that much, it feels like a lot of things, like, unless you go through like what Gara did, to where, like, one headbutt turns you into a nice guy. most
hmm
people most people won't notice any changes. Like, I go back and forth with Curtis all the time, because he's like, oh, Bakugo didn't really start changing until season 3. I'm like, nah, Bakugo kind of, he changed after that first loss against Midoriya.
he did, yeah, he did.
Yeah, and
And
I was
that's
like,
what made him a good character. Another one, that's why I said I like toxic characters because I liked Bakugo. I didn't like Bakugo at the beginning, like most people. Didn't like him like the first season and a half because, he was a bully. And then like it's not until you see actual like growth, something that'll change the like break the mold a little bit, that you can see that they have potential, then you're like, oh, okay, he's a good character.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. I did like Bakugo at first, but that was just because I didn't
Oh
really like
shoot.
Midoriya. I didn't really like
Oh, I
Midoriya.
hated him. Mine was the opposite. I loved Midoriya, and then I hated Bakugo because I'm like, why are you telling this man to kill himself? I mean, this boy to kill himself. Like, you're doing too much. If he was my child, I would have
Boys,
slapped him. Like, what are you
boys will
doing?
be boys. Nah, I'm playing, but but definitely for that one. But speaking of somebody like Bakugo, that kind of goes into the next topic because like Bakugo is one of the most hated characters. Well, at least he used to be. Some people are warming up to him now, but like you
Yeah.
said, season one over here in America, people did
Hmm.
not like Bakugo at all. So,
Yep.
uh, what what male MCs that generally are like, do you think are hated? You know, and why do you think they're hated?
Ooh, there's so many. um,
Yeah,
unfortunately, but I think it's just a multitude of things. Just depends on how they act. Like with characters um like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, like I feel like he's hated now more because of like the access that we have to like anime and stuff. When I was younger and I was watching anime, the only like few anime I watched were like Dragon Ball Z and like Naruto and like a few other ones. Inuyasha. There's like four. I can count them on my hand. So I didn't really see a huge variety of male MCs. So Goku was like whatever to me. But now rewatching it, knowing after seeing many different kinds of anime with different kinds of male protagonists, it's like, wow, this is a very basic character compared, like he's really strong and that's awesome, but like
yeah.
what else is he? Who is he? Compared to like some of the other characters. So, and I feel like the ones that like if an anime comes out with a character like that as a main as like the lead, then it usually doesn't do well or like unless the story is really good, but like the character usually is not that liked because they're basic, they don't have anything interesting about them. Like what's the point of liking this person if they're just one dimensional? They don't have any character growth or they don't learn things. So that also if they're perverts, we talked before the thing about Meliodas. Um and if it's just
But
like too much is going on. Like it's all right. It's all right to like be attracted to someone. Like that's perfectly fine. I totally understand.
yeah, I'm
I
about to
am
say,
that way.
but
But there's a line that doesn't need to be crossed.
Billy Otis
Um,
definitely crosses that line. Even for me, I
yeah.
like about like episode 3 or 4, I was just like, is nobody gonna explain?
Like they're not
I
gonna talk about this. Like
was like,
they let the pig bring it up. Like that was
yeah,
the pig was like, "You're doing too much."
which is ironic. Like Billy Otis is acting
Yeah,
like
it's like a
a pig,
pig.
and the pig is the one. Yeah, so I remember laughing at that myself, but I was just like, damn, Billy Otis, you worse than Hollywood directors. Like, come on, man.
I know exactly.
But and to speak on a character like Goku, Goku's really just a character that I don't want to say overstayed his welcome, but yeah, it's really no other way to put it. Like he just kind of overstayed his welcome. Uh, I
Like
mean, it's, and
he
it's
just
mainly
stayed
because
the same.
yeah, like and I think what happens nowadays is because so many people have seen Dragon Ball Z, but haven't
Mhm.
actually seen Dragon Ball.
Oh
It's
yeah. See, and
it's
I used to
like
love Dragon Ball because he actually had a personality.
yeah, so like that was the actual like Dragon Ball to me is like still one of the best shonens. Z was
Yeah.
cool up till like the Cell Saga and then the Buu Saga. Well, I mean Buu Saga until Gohan loses, and then
Mhm.
like from there it's just kind of like the Goku Vegeta show,
Yeah.
and it's
And
like
that's
at
why
that
people
point,
tend to I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Well, I was just saying like at that point that's when it just becomes that thing of like you legit have nothing else to grow for but power.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
at that point, they're both because you're not going to get emotional change out of Goku. He's like in his 40s at that point.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And so now it's just kind of stuck to where like you'll have. I mean, like we all know that Goku was in a way righteous because he had that righteous anger like with
Mhm.
Frieza, and
Mhm.
Frieza killed Krillin. He got over angry and then turned
Yeah.
Super Saiyan, which is ultimate
Mhm.
hype.
Yes.
but then it's like, from there, like all you can do now is just either make him stronger, and the more stronger he gets, it feels like the dumber he gets. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just like Goku's just a character that overstayed his welcome.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's why
it's just
people
sad.
like Vegeta more because he at least like got character development. Like because he was a bad guy, turned good guy, got a family. Like like he had a whole story. You don't win nothing, but he had a whole story. According to
Yeah,
what I hear, I haven't watched Dragon Ball Z or like in a long time. Like the
I
last time I watched
just
it, he wasn't there.
kind of keep up with
Yeah.
Super.
Okay.
And people
Yeah.
are saying like Vegeta still takes L's. I'm like, all right, man.
But at least
Let
he's a
me get it.
character. At least he's a
Yeah,
grounded
yeah.
person.
Which I don't know. I felt kind of bad because I felt like in Super, I just feel like Toriyama's trying to make it to where we can hate Dragon Ball Z so much to where he can finally stop.
He needs to stop. Like I don't understand. Like he makes like he has the money. How long has Dragon Ball been going on? How much merch has Dragon Ball like created? Like you're good, bro. Just like cut it out. I feel like people are probably just asking him for more because they love it so much. So
Yeah, and it's
he feels
like,
stuck.
and he is, and Toriyama is a person for the fans because I remember reading an old interview he did back in like I think like the early 2000s, and he was saying like he actually doesn't like Vegeta. He actually did want to keep up with Vegeta, but the fans liked him so much he decided to keep him in.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, oh, well, I guess so, but no wonder he
It's
can't
like, well,
win.
dang.
Yeah,
That's why
now
he's
we know.
he's salty. He's like, okay, I kept this character in here, but he ain't gonna win nothing because y'all wanted him. I didn't want him. That's
Yeah,
funny.
so if you're wondering why Vegeta can't win, he was never supposed to.
He was
But
supposed to be written out like 10 seasons ago, but
it's kind of sad because it's like seeing a legacy die, and you
yeah.
don't want to, but it has to happen. But hopefully, this is what makes him like just finally put it down and be like, all right, we good. But
uh,
a character I wanted to really talk about for this topic was Shiro Emiya. Because if you don't know, Shiro Emiya is the main protagonist for the Fate Stay series.
okay, I'm like, I know
Fate
he
Stay
sounds so
Night.
familiar.
Yeah, Fate Stay Night, Fate Stay Night and Limited Blade Works. They got the movie trilogy out, Heaven's Feel,
Oh, I need
and
to watch those. I
that
need to watch
they
it.
they they look great. I'll say that much. Now I'm playing. No, they actually do have some pretty good writing for, but it's mainly geared towards Sakura, one of the females.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, a lot of people just don't like Shiro, and it's funny because it's like he was designed to be that way. I think because he has his
yeah.
other self in Archer that everybody loves.
Hmm.
But it's like Shiro was made to have that childish naivete that makes him unrelatable.
Yeah.
Like like you can't really relate to Shiro when he says like, "Oh, I want to do things for people. I want to be a hero of justice. So I have this guy that doesn't like me and tries to mess with me, but I'll still be nice to him just because. Even though I went through terrible shit, I'm gonna be a nice dude because of the
Hmm.
person who took me in." But then it's just kind of like, all right, I just can't
Okay.
really relate to you. So
You're just
I,
like, okay.
yeah, like I personally didn't have that much issue with Shiro. I had a couple of issues, but nothing to where people were like, "Oh, he's one of the worst male protagonists outside of big garbage isekais and garbage harem animes." but
Yeah.
but yeah, like so like I still enjoyed the series. I still enjoyed Shiro, but at the same time, though, not to mention he did have some really dumb lines, like people die when they are
Yeah.
killed. Like, oh
Yes.
god.
But then you could compare that it's a misfit of Demon Academy, where it's like you really think you can kill me. I'm just kidding, but it's totally different because his power level
Yeah,
is
and
totally
it's
different.
a
I feel like.
it's a whole different attitude. And then
Yeah.
so with Shiro, you just had this guy that wasn't really relatable. He said some weird things, and I have to say I like Heaven's Feel because the way they're actually building up his relationship with Sakura, one of the female characters, makes
Mhm.
30,000 times more sense than what it was built up with Ren and Stay Night.
Okay. Oh
So
yes, and now yes, I think I've only seen Fates. I think I've seen Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. I think I've seen Fate Stay Night and then Limited Blade Works, and I think that's it. So
I tried to watch the
like when
original.
you said,
I couldn't make it through.
yeah, yeah, I didn't watch a lot of it, but I remember like when you said his name, I'm like that sounds so familiar, and I was thinking Emiya, but I was thinking of Archer and not him, and that's how much
which
he
is it's
didn't make an
just
impression on me.
which is just so sad. And not to mention
Yeah.
he was so weak compared to everybody else. It was just sad.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, I think he's built to be that way because technically they're from. It's like a game. It was from like a game, right? The Fate Stay series is like a game series before it became an anime.
I
And
believe
usually, like
so.
when the characters are like, yeah, usually when characters are from that, like they tend to be the main characters tend to be very basic because in the game they don't really need to be anything because the person's supposed to be them. You know what I mean? The person playing the game is supposed to be that person. So just like, oh, it's whatever motivations, but all the other stuff going around them kind of makes them like more interested in the game instead of like the main character. But in the anime, it's the main character that draws the attention. So they don't give the character that kind of like, you know, interest or personality, then they fall flat. So it's kind of
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, it's sad, but at the same time though, it gave us an amazing character in Archer. So I appreciate him for that forever.
True. And I think that's something different that like they did. And I totally forgot that happened because someone had to point that out to me like a while ago when I was talking about uh, Archer, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Cheryl was Archer," and I was like, "Oh yeah, duh, like duh." Um, so that's so true because Archer is lead character now, and it's crazy that they're the same person.
Yeah, so and I remember when I first found that out, I was just like, wow, that's wow, buddy. At least you have a future. At least you have a future self that's light. So you have a persona that people can deal with.
Yeah.
So I mean, definitely him. I mean, sometimes I feel like the hate is unwarranted, but I can't agree when people are like, I just don't like this character. I was like, yeah, he is drawn up to be unlikable.
Yeah. And it's weird that people think about him so much. Well, I guess he's in a lot of the like series.
Well, I
I
mean,
guess that was
it's been
why.
three series, yeah, with him.
Yeah, yeah. So, 'cause I was gonna say, like, I don't, like I said, he didn't make an impression on me. I just focused on all the other characters. But if he's in multiple series, and then that makes sense why people probably have an issue with him if like they don't like his personality or lack
Yeah,
thereof.
and kind of to bring up like a side thing, because
Hmm.
most perverted male characters are hated. Like, yeah, your average
Hmm.
everyday pervert type character, like Mineta, who is
Hmm.
who people want to be erased. People would buy Thanos' gauntlet just to erase him for for eternity. Uh,
That's funny.
yeah, and you got some characters, yeah, and people will sometimes drag on other characters. Like I think another thing that kind of drew me to Black Clover is because like I correlated a lot to One Piece, and
Mm,
so like some of the things that people say about Black Clover, they also throw in One Piece. So one of the things that when I
mm,
started hearing people say like, "Oh, I don't like Asta because he's loud and dumb," I kind of like immediately went to Luffy, and I was like, a
yeah.
lot of people actually don't like Luffy, and you got a lot of people that do, but it's kind of like the same amount of people that don't.
Yeah.
And I just remember like, man, boy. Then when it came to Asta, everybody's just like, Asta yells, he screams. I'm like, I mean, 2 episodes, sure, but after that, he tones down. But then it still is
Yeah.
like, no, he yells, he screams, he's dumb. I hate his character. Da da da. Like,
And I think
Right.
that's something too that we could like relate to like age. Cause like when people first watch One Piece and Naruto, because I thought immediately of Naruto when people were talking about Asa being too loud. I'm like, do y'all remember Naruto? Like the original Naruto? You talk
Yeah, I
about being
mean,
loud and annoying. Like, I mean, I felt bad for him because he was an orphan, but he was also just really loud and obnoxious. But
yeah,
we were
and
kids
it
when
was
we a lot of people were kids. I feel like a lot of people were kids when
yeah,
they watched like One Piece and like Naruto and like anime with characters that were loud like Asta. And then today, when people complain about characters like Asta and Black Clover, which is newer to anime at least, then they're like, oh, like he's too much. It's just like is he though?
yeah. I
Like
mean,
when you were a kid, it didn't matter, but now that you're an adult,
well, I mean, I can't even lie. Like when the sub came out for Black Clover, I myself dropped it for the yelling and stuff. But then I went and watched it
mm,
in dub, and the dub was like a perfect pitch.
mm,
So so when I actually like stopped, I won't say being shallow, but when I stopped letting that small thing affect me enjoying it, and I paid attention to the words, I was like, oh wow, this
yeah.
character that I was just dropping this show for is actually saying some really nice stuff. 'Cause I remember,
Like,
and I
oh,
was
it
actually just
actually has some
rewatching
good
it.
dialogue.
Yeah, when I was
Mm.
actually rewatching it with my little cousin, because she's getting more into anime. She was like, "Hey, I see this is on your Funimation. You want to watch it with me?" I'm like, "Oh, sure." I mean, it's my favorite on running shonen. Why not? And I remember like a part in the flashback which made me drop the show in episode 2. As a kid, he was like, "Oh, I want to be the Wizard King," and I was like, "Oh, well, I wonder why." And then he states, when you at that type of station, you have power, and
Mhm.
then with power, I can get you guys clothes, I can get you food, I can put you in a better house than this crappy church. And I was like, wow,
Yeah, he's thinking about his family and
how?
like the orphanage.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, like, how did I miss that this kid as a 10-year-old was thinking about this? I was like, the
Yeah.
yelling, right, 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 right. So I remember, like, so sometimes it just feels like sometimes, like, when you don't like a character, or if you let like small things about a character that you quote unquote hate, sometimes it can, like, block you from the things that they actually
Hmm.
say or do, which can
Yeah.
kind of suck. It
Yeah.
does not fit Bushiro though. He's he's just
He does
he's
say
just
smart
unlikable.
things. Yes,
He
that's
doesn't
true.
say smart things. Sad, 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 sad. But on to another topic though. How do you think a cast, and I kind of also want to focus on the female cast, but a cast in
Hmm.
general, how do you think they help to just kind of shape up male MCs in general?
Hmm. Hmm. I thought this question was funny because I feel like most of the female casts usually are made for that purpose. Like they're made to like help boost the character or like as a support for the main character. Um, like especially male characters like in a shonen. Um, I mean Naruto doesn't do a good job of that, but I think that's what they were supposed to be. Like I think that was what they were supposed to be, but it failed. But in other anime, like in like even right now I'm watching God of High School and I like the main characters. I like the girl main character. I think her name is Mira.
There we
But
go. Mira, I could, man. 'Cause I'm kind of struggling with watching God of High School just because of the pacing of it. It's fast and
oh,
furious
it's so
fast.
weird. That whole part that we just talked about was a good example of like women being used as material to like support the main character. Like Mira being attacked in that one thing pissed like Mori off the main character to fight Day so that they'd have a good fight. And it felt like for the whole purpose of that, even though it didn't seem like it felt like that was the purpose of that fight, just to have him be pissed off because they were supposed to be friends and like things like that. I think God of High School isn't as bad as like some other ones. Like in My Hero, I feel like everyone hypes up um Ochako. for being like a good woman character.
Uh,
And I feel like she just does that thing where she's not. Like she just does the thing that everyone else does and she just helps like she's always constantly thinking about freaking Midoriya. Like you're not his mom. Like
uh,
he's
I
a teenage boy.
because me and Curtis talked
um
about that before, and he really likes My Hero Academia. He likes it a lot more than I do. It's actually still one of
mhm,
my favorites. But if you ask me to
yeah.
pick between like all the shonens going, like Black Clover is my favorite, and that's
Hmm.
because I like how they do their females just on a whole different level. Like uh
Yeah.
Mimosa, one of the female characters, where some
Hmm.
people are like, "Oh, she's just another character that falls in love with Asta, for whatever reason."
Hmm.
But then it was a moment where she pulled back up, where she said, like, "Hey, I'm gonna get stronger so I can support Asta." And
Hmm.
then in one arc, she's teamed up with Asta, and you see where she actually did work hard to become stronger.
Hmm.
So I'm like, when I saw that, I was just not to mention she pulled up with practically like a Venusaur solar beam. So I was like, yo.
Yeah.
So like with that, Noelle, how she grows and stuff like that, I was like, man, and you know why? It's because not only because of Asta, but because of the fact that she trains herself.
Yeah.
But then like Asta being supportive, not exactly being, the guy like, oh, we're friends. It's not exactly power of friendship, but it's more like, hey, I admire how strong you are, how powerful you are. Now we just have to cultivate it so it can be real strength.
Yeah.
And there she grows and continues to grow. And and there's another part where it was a big fight and everything was kind of resting on Noelle to pull off a very powerful attack, and
Hmm.
she kind of balked for a second. Some of her trauma popped in her head. And,
Hmm.
Asta started yelling. He's like, "Hey, Noelle, you got this. You're strong. Don't worry about it. You can do this. I believe in you. I've seen how
Hmm.
hard you work." Da, 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 da. And so from there, she got the confidence to go through her attack, and it worked. I was like, "Oh, there we
Yeah.
go." Like, not only, and it's not so much reciprocated on Asta, but
Hmm.
it's like because she's there and that he has been paying attention to her, he
Hmm.
felt comfortable saying that in this really terrifying situation.
Yeah.
But
And I like when the characters are like there for each other to like help each other out. And it's not always like or like they get inspired by each other. Like that's cool. Like I think that's why I liked Black Clover initially. I don't know why I fell off. I was just watching too much at one time. But I think
that's
that's why I liked
understandable.
that initially because Noelle was like, like I want to get stronger too. Like this person, like he's always doing stuff and being cool, and I want to be like that. So I kind of like when it's like that when they're kind of like helping each other, like the main characters there, and they kind of help the other side characters build up, like equally to like the male characters. Cause like in My Hero with Midoriya and Bakugo, it's like since they're rivaling each other, they kind of help each other grow. And I like when they have more characters like that with like women characters to help them grow as well. And it's not just to like protect or like it's not only to help, the main character. It's like also because they want to get stronger. Um I feel like those are good characters also. I'm trying to think of an example.
One I can pull up with real quick actually is one of my favorite female characters. Is actually Rukia Kuchiki from Bleach, because she,
Okay, I can see.
yeah, because
Mhm.
I mean, her and Orihime both, because Orihime actually grew a lot, but for
Yes.
Rukia especially, like she pretty much made sure Ichigo took the job seriously at first in the first
Mhm.
season, and
Yeah.
then from her being taken by the Soul Society and being put to death, it made Ichigo work even harder to go save her and stuff like that. Not to mention, I also love that dynamics. They were fun together. They're just
Yeah.
I loved how fun they were together. And
Hmm.
my favorite part is actually when Ichigo starts losing control of his hollow powers, and that's when you get
Hmm.
introduced into the Espada.
Hmm.
He takes a L and he's really down in the dumps about it. And then, the Soul Reapers pull back up, and Rukia is the one to snap him out of that funk. So she puts the fire back in his soul. And I really enjoyed that because she pulled up, she slapped him around a little bit, dragged him out of his body, took him to fight a hollow, and said some inspirational words to him, and then it made him
Mhm.
grow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
the Bleach fist
I
topic
I've
though.
just yeah. I just actually I mean I haven't finished Bleach. I was rereading the manga, so now I'm catching up to like the Thousand Year Bloodwork arc that's gonna air next year hopefully on the in the anime. But
It's so
I'm on that part in the manga, and after rereading like the that part, like it's I miss Bleach. I loved it so much. The fights were so good. I love it.
right.
But after reading that, I had different thoughts about Rukia than I initially did, actually. Um, because I used to really like her too, and I felt the same. But I don't know, like I don't know what it is. There's just some things that are like, if you're really that strong though, why don't you ever fight? It's just like she fights, but like she never win. And I feel like it's just I don't know. I like their dynamic together, and I like that she's always like pushing Ichigo up, and like she has like they have a good dynamic. But I don't understand like why she's so weak if she's supposed to be like
Well,
more a
I
really
mean,
strong character. It was
Rukia,
so weird.
when she did get a victory, it was in the Waco Mundo arc, and they and I
Yeah.
remember I thought that was really messed up because they had her go against the guy who took over. What's his name? What's his name?
Yeah.
Kyan. There we go.
What was his name? Kai. Yeah,
Kyan,
Kyan.
yeah, like took over her former superior's body, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Now y'all ain't had to do this to my girl." I was like, "Y'all did not have to do this to Rukia," and then like some of that was the mental baggage stopping her, but then eventually
Yeah.
she actually pulled through with the win, and then after that she has to fight not the skeleton dude. Yami. There we go, Yami.
Mhm.
And nobody would be able to beat him. So I was like, they did put her in a couple damsel in distress situations.
Yeah. It's just like that was only that sucks to me. Like rereading it now was like, dang, why did she have to be rescued so many times if she was supposed to be the strong character that gave Ichigo his freaking reawakened Ichigo's powers in the first place. Um, so that was the only thing that bothered me about her character. But I did like their dynamic of trying to like get better. And even Orihime, and it's funny because the opposite happened to me with Orihime because I used to hate her, and then now looking at her, I'm like, you know what? She actually does stuff though. Like she
Yeah,
actually try. Like she actually,
but I never
she was.
hated. I don't know. It's a weird. I never hated Orihime. I actually enjoyed it. I actually just saw her as like a really beautiful character, but then
Mhm.
and then she kind of pulled up. I was kind of treating her like Sakura, but it's like Sakura with good writing.
Yeah, with better,
So
yes, for sure.
because when I was rewatching it, and because I rewatched it at first when it came on Netflix a couple months ago, and I remember thinking like, I don't remember enjoying Orihime this much in the beginning.
Yeah,
She
same.
was a funny character. She was energetic. I loved her energy, but then when I got
Hmm.
deeper into the story, her because I always felt Bleach was more emotional based than just the fighting and stuff like that. So a lot of it
Hmm.
ran off emotions and what the people had to deal with. And I think they played really well into the fact that these were teenagers. These weren't
Yeah,
and these were teenagers that were kind of thrust into this life. It wasn't like a thing of, yeah, we agreed to this, you know?
yeah.
So because Bleach always reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho, and I kind of remember like Keiko and with
Hmm.
Keiko at like the dark tournament, and at some moments she would be like really fired up, and at other moments she would be like passing out from who knows what.
Yeah.
But for Hime, like she was a character that when it came to Ichigo, you kind of understood like why she hung around Ichigo because I mean Ichigo's a likable character. It's kind of hard not to like him.
He is. It is.
Yeah,
I love him.
and then like when she started getting more inspired by him, and so that's why she started to grow a bit more. But then it also
Mhm.
started to turn into her liking him.
Mhm.
and then you like saw her kind of have teenage girl jealousy. I mean, she got jealous of Ruki at one point. Ron Kiku told her like, "Hey,
Mhm.
it's nothing wrong with being jealous. You're a young girl. You like a guy. That's
Yeah.
how it's supposed to go." And and I remember when she decided to go with Ukiora to go to Wake Up Mundo, and they had that last
Mhm.
moment. Well, not that last moment, but she had that goodbye moment
Yeah.
with Ichigo. I was just like it hit so much more. Even as an adult, I'm like, bruh,
Like you
you know.
understood why she's doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I understood it better. I was like, or him, you ain't got to
Yeah.
go. Like they could beat him, I think.
Like yeah, I'm like just let them try to beat them. Like you ain't gotta go. Like it's okay. Don't be the
And
bad person.
yeah, and when I rewatched the Fullbring arc, because I don't know, maybe it was because
Uh,
they had that filler arc that was like 2 times too long.
the
And
balance.
was that the Zim? No, that
Is that
wasn't
the
the
way?
Zanpakuto.
No, no,
Oh,
no. The bound one is the one with the vampires.
yeah, that was the one after the Soul Society. The one before the Fullbring arc was something. I don't know. It was like copies of the Soul Reapers were popping up or something like that. And it ran for like
Mm,
a long time. And I think it just kind of killed the momentum.
yeah.
Because like Orihime was actually like really impressive in the Fullbring arc. So I remember just thinking like,
Yeah,
wow,
she
this is
was. I
pretty
liked her
cool.
in the full finger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Even though that arc was weird, because I read the manga, I didn't watch up to the Fullbringer arc in the anime yet.
you might have to go
Um,
back and do that one. It looks amazing. That whole
I've
thing is
watched. I've,
animated,
yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then I will need to because I still haven't seen. Yeah, I haven't seen freaking the end of Wakamundo animated. So I'm like, why haven't I seen that? I think when I was young, I stopped in the middle of that in the anime. Anyway, so I'm gonna watch that. But yeah, I liked Orihime in the Fullbringer arc because I felt like she was holding her own. Like Ichigo was out of commission for 2 years. Like she was still there doing stuff
And training,
and like
yeah.
kind of holding it down.
And when she pulled up and Ichigo's training to understand his Fullbring and stuff, like it was I think Genjo like slashed him in the eyes. Yeah, Genjo slashed him in the
Hmm.
eyes, and then Orihime was healing him, and like Genjo was like, "All right, this is enough. Like you took long enough," and he goes
Yeah.
to attack, and she withholds his attack, and she's
Hmm.
like, "Hey, when I tell you to wait, you gonna wait." I was like, "Oh, yes, ma'am."
She's like, I'm trying to
And
heal my man. Like, move out of the way.
yeah, and in
I'm
that
like, oh,
one,
okay.
like you saw that, and then she said to Ichigo, like, look, me and Chad, we've been training this whole time. Like, we were
Yeah.
waiting on you to get your powers back or to work to get your powers back. So
Yeah.
we were to prepare, and that helped to resolve Ichigo to get up and keep, and work harder.
Yeah. I
So
like that
definitely,
part. I like when, yeah, like I said, I like when the side characters are like, I'm inspired by his like like the main character, so I'm gonna do better for myself. And then when the main character couldn't do anything, they were still working hard and like they were inspired by him. So I really like that dynamic.
yeah. Yeah, so definitely. And the last person I kind of want to bring up was actually for this topic at least was Naofumi Iwatani from The Rising of the Shield Hero.
Dang, I still need to watch that. Go
I
like,
I I absolutely loved that show. It was actually my anime of the year for 2019. I enjoyed it so much, and it's mainly for the cast. Like Naofumi is actually a
yeah.
very good character, but
Mhm.
uh, the team he has around him, excuse me, because for the Rising of the Shield Hero, Naofumi Iwatani, he's 20, a 20-year-old kid, not kid, a 20-year-old man who pretty much is living your average isekai life before you die. He
Mhm.
gets absorbed into this other world, and he becomes one of the 4 legendary heroes. And he is equipped with a shield. So he's like highly disadvantaged. He knows nothing about the world while the other heroes do. The people in the kingdom don't like him for whatever reason. And then he gets falsely accused of sexual assault, and
Mhm.
he loses everything pretty much. So from
I
there
remember.
Yeah, so he's actually able to get a group of people to work with him, but they're practically it's not can't even say practically. So he buys a slave little girl named Raftalia.
Hmm.
Then he helps to, but he helps her get better. So he helps train her, he fixes the illness she has and all this good stuff. And
Hmm.
from there, he gets like a bird that can turn into a person, to a little girl.
Hmm.
And so like he has these children around him, but it's like these children help him get out of such a dark spot. And you just see
So
how the
cute. I need to watch
cast
this, man.
it's a really good show. And
That sounds so cute.
you really see like somebody go from zero to something, you know,
Yeah.
because he's really just stripped of everything. And then he's finally able to grow back into a decent human being.
Hmm.
He's also still kind of savage though. So he's really about his money. Yeah, he turns into a hustler. He's seriously about his money, which is funny. But yeah, you just get to see the cast of his party, and one other person kind of help to, just heal him and make him better. So, and it's a female cast because it's an isekai. It's got to be a female cast. So,
Oh yeah, they always gotta hear him, but yeah.
so
Always.
it's always a harem. But at least this one, you can actually appreciate.
Yeah. See, I have no problems with harems as long as they're respectful and not too tropey. Like if it's like I usually don't watch specific harems because I know they're gonna be the same. Like they're gonna be the same like from my other harem. But if there's like a different kind of dynamic or like the main character's actually decent and interesting, I'm willing to give it a try.
I don't know. The last harem I enjoyed was the quintessential quintuplets.
A lot of people enjoy that one, and I've been thinking about giving that one a try.
That's a really nice one, and that female cast actually shapes the main character a lot, and it's one of my favorites. It ends in a weird way, but it's still nice.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely. So definitely for that one, I just like the fact that that cast. It's because of the cast that the character got to grow, and then
Yeah.
from there he moves on to helping other people. So I just really appreciated that. I also like the fact that he doesn't go back from being like a really rough around the edge character to a nice character. He stays that same rough around the edge
Yeah.
character. So I really like that about Naofumi. He's such a great character.
Nice. I definitely need to watch it.
Yeah, he did cause some controversy though.
Oh shoot. Okay, well I'm gonna see.
Yeah, nah, like people they when it first came out and they had the first episode drop or the first two episodes drop,
Hmm.
people like, oh, sexual assault is not something to use to push past your plot point. I'm like, what?
Oh
It was,
yeah, that tends to be a thing. I'll see how it goes. It
yeah,
depends on how it's used though. And the way that I've heard it used, I didn't think that it was like that kind of
it's
way.
it's it's really not an issue.
Okay. So I'm gonna check it out. And see how it goes.
But just to kind of ask more on the female side, like, what do you think women normally look for in a main character that's
Well,
male?
if you want me to speak for myself.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Sorry to kind of put the weight of the of your gender on you, but
I ain't gonna speak for everybody, but the first I'm just kidding, not the first thing, but as long as they are over the age of 20, if they look good, I'm probably gonna watch the and I know it's very shallow, but like only if they're a certain age. Like if it's some children, then I'd be like that's not the first thing I'm gonna look for. If they're like a kid like Gon from Hunter x Hunter, then I just like how I like when they're funny and like unapologetically themselves and just like making jokes and like running around and having a good time. And if it's like a kid age, like they're like 12 or 13 and they're just like having fun and like doing fun kid stuff. I usually like characters like that because it's like, oh, they actually get to be kids sometimes. So they can like bring their personality into fights and like be lighthearted and have fun. And for teenagers, it's weird. It's a weird area.
You
For
gotta
like,
admit, Ichigo is a really handsome character.
I mean, okay, hold on, that's different though, because look, I grew up watching. So the ones that I've grown up watching, I don't consider them young now. You know what I mean? Because Ichigo grows up. Naruto and his crew grew up. So I'm like,
Yeah,
they grew up. I'm grown up. It's cool now. But if they're still children, like in some anime, then it's like it's weird. But I like teenage characters that are like kind of, as long as they get some kind of growth, like if they're just like a certain way at the beginning, either like really rough like a Bakugo, and then they like learn to not like, they're not everything, that they're not all that, then that's cool. I like characters like that. Or the opposite, if they're just like really soft and like don't really want to do anything, but then they start to actually take action and not be afraid to do stuff, like maybe Midoriya now in the manga, then I'm like, okay, cool, I like that growth. So I feel like as long as they get like a considerable amount of growth in their teens, like they're 16 or 18 or whatever, then I'm like, cool, I like them. And then ahead of that, if they're funny and just have like a good personality. And then if they're older, if they have all that plus they look good, then it's cool. For me
wait, so how you
personally.
feel about Anos? How you feel about Anos? He only a month old.
I know. I didn't know that when I watched the thing, because I was like, okay, when I read the synopsis, I was like, okay, this is a 2000-year-old man technically, like reincarnated. So he's older. So I was like, okay, he's kind of attractive. I'm gonna watch the show. So that was initially why I watched the show. And then
It said,
um they talked about him being a month old, and I was like, well, I'm just I'm just
I
gonna
freaked
not.
out. I freaked out so much, and I was at work. I was at work. Like I just put my phone down. I was like, "You don't get the hell out of my face. What are you?"
Like a month? Like what? And it's
Yeah,
funny because I like how his parents always like, oh, you're so grown and you're like a month. Like this is a grown man. He's not. Like I don't understand why y'all babying him, but it was hilarious. Like
yeah.
I thought that was funny.
It's so funny. And the reason I wanted to ask that question is because normally you just see it is a difference in how some characters are perceived by,
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, by gender. I mean, like you sometimes everybody can agree on certain things, like Kazuya from Rent a Girlfriend. Like it's you,
Whew. I was
you
gonna
don't
bring him
want
up too.
you don't want to hate him, but from a female standpoint, you're like,
and
all right, this guy's annoying. And then from a male standpoint, you're just like, all right, this guy's annoying.
and it's sad because like I really was trying to give him his time, because like each of the characters have the time to like grow into like who they are and like how we see them. Like maybe he was just like that on the surface and like he was actually somewhere else. But like the
That's him.
series is almost at the I think it's almost at the end. I think it's only 12 episodes. And it's still like he doesn't like he complains about growing up, but then he doesn't actually try to. And then that's my issue with him. Like he doesn't actually try to like change anything.
Yeah, and I just mainly, well, personally, I don't really like cowardly characters in general. That's why I didn't really like enjoy Midoriya at all
Hmm.
until like almost season three. Uh, well, no, I'll take that back. I enjoyed him about the staying arc, but
Oh yeah, see, because he actually tried to stand up or something.
yeah, and that's actually like one of my highlights from Midoriya, aside from everything
Hmm.
else. But so with his character, it's just like because I mean, not to mention he's also in college. So I know in college you're not exactly a
Yeah.
completely different person, but by that point, you would hope that you would. I mean, it's not like I was the most popular guy in high school, but by college, I could actually talk to women.
Yeah.
You know, I
And it's
didn't.
not even like not yeah. And it's not even like that he was not unconfident. Like that's okay. But like you just have to grow. Like you just have to like he kept making the excuses and stuff and like the lies um to like rope what's her name Chizuru into like all the stuff. And I was just like, she's just like, she's just trying to get her money and like not cause trouble for her grandma. And you keep adding on stuff. And I'm like, I
Yeah, man.
understand the thing with your grandma, but then like every time, like you can. You can say
like
something.
yeah, it's just like she's doing an in-person OnlyFans thing. Like you can't really get mad at her. Yeah, that's what I call it. I call it
Yeah, like
in-person OnlyFans.
it basically is. Like she's just about her money. Like they let her get her bag and that is fine. Like I totally get it. It's just that, you know, he just needs to step up a little bit
Yeah,
in
but then
terms of
like
like how he treats the characters.
because and then that's also
Oh
kind
yeah,
of like
sorry.
because on a male perspective, like if you like when me and Curtis was talking about it, I was like, bruh, this dude is literally spending like I don't even know how much money to
Oh,
hang
spending
out with
money on
her
her.
and then to
Yeah,
actually go through and like take her out and eat with her and pay for that
yeah,
too. I was
yeah.
like, bruh, like could you imagine spending that much and you're getting nothing out of it? Not it.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, grow up, like just like that's why I'm saying like, why are you making all these excuses and doing all this stuff? But you're paying her and you ain't got no money. So what is your where are your priorities? Like
And
you
it's
don't have money to be just messing around like this.
and it's just kind of making him just because it's like he wants to stop it and he understands he has to, but then like other things, like when his friend berates him, I remember
Yeah.
that's a moment I felt really bad for Kazuya because I was like, damn, bro, you actually went through with it and it's like, yeah, we're actually gonna break up, and then your boy is just like, hey, don't start thinking with your dick, think with your head.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm thinking with my wallet, like.
And he doesn't know that, so I feel bad for the friend because he was actually just trying to like make sure he had a decent relationship. Like the friend was nice. He was in a good
Yeah,
place,
but then
but
on
he didn't
Kazia's
understand.
side, yeah, on Kazia's side, you just like you can't just come out and say, "Hey, man, look, I've been paying." Because this, and from a male's perspective, this is like a really embarrassing thing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I know for like if it was me in that situation, I would probably just have to come out and say, like, "Bruh, you know how much money I'm spending on this chick." Like,
Yeah.
but then you're just like, "Wow, that'd be really embarrassing to say."
Yeah. And I would understand that. Like he wouldn't have to say, but that's the thing. He doesn't have to say that. He could just say they broke up. Like, but he doesn't. Every time he doesn't say it.
But
I'm
then
just like,
and that's
just
what
say
makes it sad because it's like you said it and your boy got a point because I mean if you was the rebound like that
it. Yeah.
that is the like an old Eddie Griffin joke. He was just like hey it's called you're supposed to fuck up not fuck now. Pull up on your old girl. Pull up on who did he say? It was some girl from Good Times, the main female lady from Good Times. Like pull up on her with what's Michael Jackson's sister? Janet
Janet
Jackson.
Jackson.
So yeah, pull up with her, and old girl, she like, I'm gonna take my ass to the gym.
Stop.
So it's like you sitting there,
Yeah.
and if you're a friend, you're like, yo, Brad, you hit the jackpot. Don't. What are you talking about? Why you gonna go
Yeah.
back to this other girl? But then at the same time, it's just like it's like the Kazi just has no redeeming qualities. Like
Not yeah. And I hope he does get one because if Chizuru, who's my girl, like I love her. I like her. Like she's my favorite. But but we
I like
haven't seen a lot of the other ones yet. Anyway, yeah, I like her character. But if she ends up like actually falling for him and he doesn't actually gain any redeeming qualities, I'm gonna be really mad. I'm like, you why? Like
yeah,
why?
because
Like if
and I
he
mean
does something and like says something that is like different from what he's been saying, then I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it. But if he stays the same and she ends up falling for him somehow, I'm gonna be really pissed.
yeah, and to counteract that, it's like a character like Issei from High School DxD, which I'm pretty sure for a lot of women, it's like the bane of women.
Actually, I haven't seen High School DxD. I heard about it. I've seen some
It's
clips. I haven't watched.
I mean, it's no defense for that show, but I actually do enjoy the main character Issei. I mean, he is just a huge perv, but at the same time, though, he actually does start to get serious about getting stronger for the main female character, Rias, who is a
Hmm.
devil and turns him into a devil and saves his life, but turns him into a
Hmm.
devil. So, he's like, I want to get stronger because you are the person I'm your servant. So I'm going to get
Yeah,
stronger for you.
yeah,
And eventually this strength will lead me to being a harem king. I'll have my own harem. Yeah. But then it does turn into like, oh, Issei is actually a really nice guy. Like he's a considerate guy. He's nice. He actually wants to get stronger. He wants to help his friends. He'll pull through for his friends when he needs to. So like you see him grow from just like a weak pervy kid to a pervy kid that's actually getting better.
Strong. Yeah,
So
I can
it's
see
it,
that.
like that's what
I feel like
that's
that
what I
happens in a few cases.
yeah, but you just don't normally see that for like harem anime protagonists. Normally it's just like
Yeah, it's
you
usually
have
they stay the same.
yeah, like you have a harem, you have no idea why these ladies like you. We have no idea why these ladies
Yeah,
like you, and it stays that way. It's just like, wow,
yeah, and
this
that's
I
my hope. That's what I hope changes for Rent a Girlfriend. That's what I hope.
me
Instead, because
too.
I like that show. I think it's really funny, and I think it's really messy, and I like that they're like in college and not in high school.
I think that
So,
helps.
it's like
I
a
think that
different dynamic.
yeah, I think that really helps the
Yeah,
fact that they are older.
yeah, especially because they're getting into like renting, like girlfriends and dates, and like being older and having to get married, and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
I
that
feel
would have
like
been
that helps a lot, and it's just funny. It's just funny because it's like it's just so messy. Like it's
yeah,
funny mess though.
yeah. Rent a Girlfriend reminds me of like a lot of things that I kind of didn't really enjoy from like Toradora. Not the whole. Like, I can't think of a good thing to fuse it with, but like just some elements I didn't really like from Toradora and like add in OnlyFans. And
Uh,
it's just some weird stuff with that. But nah, I do like to hear that, from a female perspective, it is nice to have a character that had to look for redeeming qualities. Because I mean, my sister, she pretty much is like the same way with you. Like you were saying, like you would like handsome characters.
I'm sorry.
She gushes over male characters all the time. And like we're both really big fans of Fairy Tale.
Hmm.
And I remember, and it's actually funny because she tried to make it sound like I didn't put her on Fairy Tale because I told her about it, and she was like, "All right, whatever. I'm not gonna watch that just because you recommended it to me." And then like a couple months later, she's like, "Yo, have you heard of this show Fairy Tale? It's so fire." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of my face." But like she really likes Natsu, and
Hmm.
first I thought it was like the shallow thing. I was like, oh, you don't like him because he got a six pack. He's like, no, I like how he's kind. He's fun, and he actually looks out for his friends. Even though a lot of people shit on Fairy Tale for that, they'll be like, oh, power of friendship, blah 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 blah, like whatever. And she was like,
Which I have my own gripes with.
yeah, I got my gripes about
With
the
power.
power scaling too, but I mean everybody can admit the power scaling is pretty bad, but the character writing is still really amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember she was practically in tears with the whole Igneo reunion.
Mhm.
And she was like, oh my gosh, this makes me love Natsu so much more. I was like, why? I was like, because we get to see him vulnerable. I was like, oh, really? It's like, yeah, for a character like that, you kind of want to see it. You kind of want to see a situation where they show some vulnerability and stuff like that. I was like, oh,
True.
it's something I personally wouldn't think about as a guy. Like,
Hmm.
I would be like, oh, I want to see the male character become vulnerable and show emotion. Like it's something I'll appreciate. Like with Fullmetal Alchemist in the original,
Yeah.
Ed versus the last Ed and Greed fight.
Hmm.
Like Ed flipped out when he killed Greed.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow.
That
But
makes
then
sense.
again, though, you're like, oh yeah, you are still like 15.
Yeah.
So I remember that was something that I really enjoyed, but it wasn't in my mind like I enjoy it because this strong head character actually is being vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I know like for some women, they like characters that can show some vulnerability and just show a weakness or sensitivity or something like that. I don't know, man. I'm
Yeah.
trying not to
Like
sound
just to make a more full-rounded character. Like even with I want to say even with I want to say even with women, but I don't know. I have to think of an example, but like if their character is a certain way the whole time, then you do want to see them kind of be like the opposite for a little bit, like, or see that they can do that so that they feel like a more rounded character. So for like with a guy, if they're super like macho and like always beating somebody up, then it's nice to have something that's like, oh, they actually care and they're nice. Like in Yu Yu Hakusho, for example, Yusuke is about that life. He will beat up anybody. He just wants to throw hands 24/7. But at the end, he came back for Keiko, and it was like, oh, okay, that's really sweet. Round character, we had to see two sides of him.
Yeah, I remember one of my favorite parts right before he actually went for Demon World was when he was telling everybody, and Kuwabara was flipping out about it. And Yusuke was like, "Hey, you need to focus on getting into college or high school,
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, get into this big high school and then make something out of yourself.
Mhm.
So I remember for that, I was just like, that's so great. That's how you be a real good friend.
Right.
And even moments like in the Dark Tournament where, I mean, if you haven't watched Yu Yu Hakusho, it sucks for you, but where we thought Kuwabara had died.
Mhm.
And you just saw all the emotional Yusuke, or even when Genkai died, and you just like twice
I
in one
hated that
arc.
part.
Yeah, like twice in one arc, you just got to see this strong-headed character be so vulnerable and so sad, and he rebounded well.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
the fact that we still got to see it, I mean, even for me, I was just like, oh man, like I'm with you, bro. It's hurt. So, like I think it's nice. I think that's the thing I can definitely say. Like on both sides, you can kind of enjoy when characters kind of deviate from what they're used to, or used to how they
Like
normally
show
act.
some, yeah, show something that's different from what they usually do. Because again, like we said, if it's something that like the character does something and like it's a trope and like you're like, oh, I've seen this a ton of times. But if they do something different or slightly different from that, then you really like it. Like bring it back to Anos from Misfit of Demon Academy. I like that he's literally a G. He can beat up anybody. He's really overpowered and it's really ridiculous. But he's also super nice. Like what the like I didn't expect him to be like hella nice. Like he's the nicest character in that entire show. It's so weird to see
He's
like the main
overpowered in
character be
every
like
way.
that.
Yeah, he's just overpowered in every way, whether it's fighting, whether it's being considerate, whether it's raging
Yeah.
out. Because when he completely dominated his teacher, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. But then he didn't even like actually like murder her or anything. He was just like, you're gonna see what it's like to be like the people you talk shit about. And he taught her a lesson and left. I was like,
Yeah.
like who would do like who does this?
I ain't gonna lie though, when he pulled up and he just grabbed her by the neck and he was just like, I didn't think I could get this upset. Congratulations, you did it though.
The girls are fighting for it. I like that whole episode where the girls are like fighting and protecting his mom and he was and like, when he wasn't there. I don't know. I don't know what it is about his character, but I like
Anos is the ultimate fictional character.
way too overpowered. But it's so funny and also he's just nice. I don't get it. It's just a weird dynamic. I'm not used to seeing characters be super OP, but also really nice. Like it's so weird.
He does fit off like the normal girl's dream man, like tall, strong, handsome, kind, sensitive, but also like ruthless or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
He is ruthless as heck.
It just makes me like, but he's still a fun character. It just makes me laugh. I love that guy.
Yes, it's so funny. Like he killed that guy in that first episode 10 times and then brought him back. like who? And then like the next episode, he's like, I'm gonna make sure that you two girls are separate and like you get to live your own lives. It's like what? Like you just what? Anyway, I'm done.
I can't lie. To kind of throw out my favorite part of that was when like the teacher, the demon lord guy comes in and he's like, all right, I'll be sure to behave. And the next thing he does, he's like, yo, been a while. And everybody freaking out. And he's like, oh, you don't remember who I am? Sucks for you.
Yeah.
Like it's such a fun character. But to kind of move on.
Sorry.
How do you think events in the story help to shape a good male MC?
Oh, that's a good one. I think that this is a funny one because I think if something considerable happens, like I don't like this trope where people die and that makes the character really strong. Because it's been done a lot. Like, and I'm thinking specifically of Hunter x Hunter. And I don't want to spoil anything. 'Cause I don't know if you've seen Hunter x Hunter.
I've seen all the Hunter x Hunter.
Okay.
I actually have big gripes about that part of Gon's character.
Yeah, but like, so why was he so upset when Kite? I mean, I understand like he was close to connection to his father. I get it, but then why was Kite introduced for like 4 episodes and then that was the catalyst for him to get strong? Like, like I didn't understand. Like it just felt so like
Random.
a basic thing. Yeah, like a random basic thing that happens like all like main characters. Someone they like or love or care about gets killed, and then they go Super Saiyan. It's like, oh, okay. And the fight was cool, but I didn't understand his character. Like, I don't understand how that helped with his character development.
Yeah, I mean, for
And there's
that moment,
other situations like that, but yeah.
yeah, for that moment, I remember that's something that when I watched it, I just couldn't really enjoy it because, like, when he started getting, like, I think it's more the depth of how angry he was, kind of
Hmm.
threw it off for me, and then it turned more into like the repercussions of it. And after he was saved, it was like nothing changed for him.
Yeah, like
Like,
he didn't actually change as a character. He just had that like power up, and then he was the same kind of.
and it was great character development for Killua.
Oh yeah. Okay,
But then,
Killua got all the character development in Hunter x
yeah,
Hunter. I'm not even gonna lie.
but then it's like afterwards, it was just like, oh, hey, Killua, you saved me from this really dumb decision I made. Appreciate it. All right, where my pops at?
Right? Like what?
I
Like
was
what?
just, I remember I raged almost as much as he did, but I had a good reason for that. I was like, what the hell? So
Like
I
how you
remember
just
that one.
gonna look for your deadbeat dad, but your friend like risked it all and like worried about you
And
safety.
almost broke his sister's heart for you.
Yeah. Oh my god. I love Killua.
I was literally just like, bruh, come on, nah, man. And then he cries for Gene. I'm like, bruh, I wish I
Like
could
what?
L'Oreal you right now. I wish I could just pull a
Right.
L'Oreal and just throw my fist in some dimension and punch you right now. I was so upset by that.
Yeah. Yes. But to talk about like good character or like good character development and things like that, I think of Haikyuu specifically. I need to watch more sports anime, but with Haikyuu, I think that they do character development well because it's
Uh,
very like. Have you seen it?
I'm on episode 3. I've been on
Oh,
episode 3
okay.
for like the
Okay,
past
I
like
won't give anything away.
I've been
Oh,
on
you've
that
been on it.
episode for like yeah, for like the past like 2-3 weeks. I've been trying.
It
I
takes it
just
takes some time to get to like the hype parts of Haikyuu, so I don't blame you. So I, like when people start it, and I'm like, yes, it's really good, but like the hypeness doesn't start until like the end of season 2. So you gotta like work up to it. But
hey, so people can
because they
actually do that and watch Haikyuu, but then that's just, like people make the same thing for Black Clover. They'll be like, no, Black Clover doesn't get good until like episode 20. I'm like,
oh yeah.
that's when it gets to the point, but you could enjoy it. Like I actually enjoy like I completely hated episode 1. Like I hated episode 1 of Haikyuu. I was like, oh my gosh, this
Oh.
is I get this power of friendship shit out my face. But then like I really enjoyed episode 2.
Okay, that's
So
good.
that's why I'm
Keep
kind
going.
of
Keep
yeah, I just got stuck.
going.
I got so absorbed into another sports anime called Ace of Diamond, and that's the one I kind of want to bring
Oh,
up.
okay.
But
Oh,
yeah, I'll
that
let
one I've heard is really good. That's one I need to watch. My friend keeps telling me, and I haven't watched it yet. But I kind of like that in sports anime, like, and I think I bring up Haikyuu specifically is because Haikyuu at the beginning they bring in a lot of like character development, like they show the characters, and then they show each step of like how they get better, and then they show like a really hype part and like how they use all that, like all that development they got that we saw over the episodes. They put that in the game, and then you're like, oh shoot, this is hype because you understood like where it comes from. And I think with sports anime, it's a little bit different with shonen because like they actually kind of build up first, and then they'll put that into like a main game or a main like event, and you understand where it's coming from. Like you understand where like the character development came from, and it's not just out of nowhere because someone died. Like like
Yeah,
it's build up. I like the build. I like the building up part. And this like they do that with other shonens too, but as long as they build up, it like is more interesting. I feel like they do that with Naruto, even though it takes a really long time. And it's been going on forever. I feel like they do that with him like over time. Like there's a lot of mistakes he made, but then he took that and learned from it, and then like put it into future fights, and then like came better. So it's just like a longer run than what we're used to seeing in shonen.
yeah. I think it works well with sports anime because they kind of have to do it that way because you can't just be like, all
Yeah,
right, we just had this game, and the next episode it's going to be another game.
yeah.
So like it's like nah, we still have school life. So I think that's where it really shines in with sports anime instead of
Hmm.
like battle shonen. 'Cause I
Yeah.
think that's what helps with My Hero out because with My Hero they actually do have to go with school life.
Yeah. And that's why I like it. I know that's why people hate it for some reason. Like people hate My Hero because they go to school, but it's literally called My Hero Academia, not My Hero. I don't go to school, so I don't know
Yeah,
what you expected them to do. But that's why I like it because they actually have parts in between where they get to be, teenagers and do teenager stuff, like go to the cultural festival and like, have tests, but then at the same time, they gotta go fight some bad guys because they're heroes. So I don't know. I like that dynamic of like
yeah.
the build up in between.
And I kind of wanted to throw Ace of Diamond into this situation because uh also just to kind of throw this out there, I completely hate baseball with all my life and passion. Played it as a
Oh
kid.
wow.
After that, I completely hated it. Get hit with a couple baseballs, you'll really hate baseball. But I remember when I was kind of looking for more sports anime to get into because I actually really do like watching sports anime. It's actually normally pretty fun. Some of them are kind of like really bad, but I actually have seen a lot that I thoroughly enjoyed. So
Hmm.
when I was looking for another one, I remember I forever in the day was trying not to watch Haikyuu for whatever reason. And it's not like I didn't like volleyball. My sister played volleyball, so I grew up watching volleyball, and I do enjoy the
Okay.
sport.
Hmm.
But I didn't watch like male volleyball, so
Yeah.
I think that's like part of the reason I was like I don't want to watch men play volleyball. So I don't know. It took me forever to watch Haikyuu. Then I watched the first episode and I cringed halfway through it. And then the second episode I really enjoyed. But then I watched the first episode of Ace of Diamond and I was immediately took over with the main character. Like he was my normal type of MC that I enjoy
Hmm.
so much. Headstrong, really emotional, or like, hyper, had a lot of
Hmm.
energy, stuff like that. But then I like Ace of Diamond because, they give him things that kind of make him stand out,
Hmm.
but it's nothing that it's not good enough. Like the thing that makes him stand out is just enough to make him interesting, but he's still not talented enough to be important to the team yet.
Hmm.
So you get to watch him literally grow to actually get to the point to where he gets to help his team.
Hmm.
And it's like watching the build up so much that when it finally happens, like it's just so much hype.
Yeah.
So like for him, he goes through a bunch of situations to where like he's watching somebody else do what he really wants to do. Like he really wants to pitch, but he's watching these other people pitch, and he gets to
Hmm.
learn like, all right, I have to actually grow as a pitcher before I can get on the mound for the main team.
Hmm.
So I like that, but to kind of go into a situation that's more, I was about to say relevant, but I want to say known. There we go. Something that's more
Yeah.
known, and I kind of
That sounds good though. I want to watch it.
yeah, oh yeah,
You
I
had
love
me
it.
interested.
The whole cast is fun. The cast is full of nothing but assholes. They're so great. But for an event that's pretty much known, or at least everybody's seen, and I kind of want to jump to My Hero Academia,
Mhm.
and it's with Stain because
Okay.
Stain is that moment for me where Midoriya started to turn around as a character. Um,
Mhm.
because by this point he has his way to use one for all, and and to use it without breaking his bones and stuff. So you get to
Mhm.
see him get that set up, and then you get to see him apply it. So he
Yeah.
pulls up on this much stronger, some type of way, character, and he stands up to the character. I mean, he's still, when he smiles, he's still, you can see he's scared,
Yeah.
but you actually see him trying to still show confidence. I was like, all right, there we go. That's what I like to see.
Mhm.
So just that situation, and then what comes after it with them learning the limitations to what heroes can do because they get in
Yeah.
trouble like, yo, y'all beat the shit out of Stain, and not to be
Y'all
mean,
ain't
but
supposed to do that yet.
yeah, yeah, like even heroes can't go that far, and y'all like high school students. And then it moved on into helping that great moment with going to save Bakugo,
Yeah.
because from there it also had Midoriya show who he pays attention to in his class, because he's like, Kirishima, you got to be the one to ask Bakugo. You got to be the one to
Yeah.
tell him, hey,
And
we're
then it
here to
actually, I love that part because it showed that he actually was like using his smarts to like, help win or get out of a situation or get what he needed from the situation. Because it felt like at first that he was just like the nerdy kid who just wrote everything down, and you were just like, okay, what? Why is that relevant? Now that he has a quirk, and then when he got his quirk, and then he was like out in the field, then he actually used that to like help in fights, and I like that they bring that up for him. Like that's his own. Also, that's like one of his like extra powers almost, that he knows how to make a team with the other kids to put stuff together to make sure that it goes a certain way.
yeah. So definitely that one. I remember when I was thinking on this topic, I was like, what do I have in my mind that really made me turn around to liking a character instead of just
Mm.
enjoying. I was like, oh, I already know what to say.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just for how it helped him with showing his growth, but also showing other attributes of him.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this is a good event that proves, all right, Midoriya has grown. He's not
Yeah.
the usual wimpy kid that
Hmm. And
cries
he's
about
like not the usual. Yeah, and he's not like the person. I mean, he was, but then he's not the kind of character who just got their powers and then like their whole thing became their powers. Like he also like they showed things like that, like him using what he used before when he didn't have any powers to try to like work through situations. Like he thinks through stuff. So I like that. Except for his legs, that was dumb. But
you
he's
said,
like,
but it's
oh,
just what?
can use my legs. Oh my god, I didn't
Uh,
know I had legs. Like what? I thought you
I,
were smart. God, you had legs, I guess.
that I remember so many people. I remember, I ain't gonna lie, I was pretty hyped with that moment. I was like, oh yeah, well, because it fits so much into his whole obsession thing. Not obsession.
Mhm.
Because that makes him sound creepy. Whatever.
Well, he does. He does have an obsession, but yeah.
Yeah, so it fit into his whole session thing with All Might and wanting to be All Might. So I remember when it
Yeah.
happened, I was like, oh, that's kind of dumb. Oh wait, you were trying your hardest to be all. It makes sense. All right, you get to shy away
Yeah.
to
He
your
has
own
to become
style.
his own, person and
Yeah,
use his own
and then I
fight
remember later on,
style.
I found out everybody else was like clowning on that. I was like, wait, but it's a good moment. So I always thought that was funny. But for the last topic. Do male or female mangaka write better male characters?
That was an interesting one for me. I think that male mangakas write like, and I'm trying not to think of like the typical ones that we see, like the ones we were talking about, like the ones with the same tropes, like that are like with like a Goku type character, like the one dimensional ones. But in terms of like just writing character, like I feel like I haven't seen all Naruto. I mean, I've seen all of Naruto, but I haven't seen all of Shippuden. But I
Uh,
feel like
okay.
Naruto is a good character compared to like a lot of other characters in that. I mean, like I feel like the main male characters in a show like Naruto or in a show like I have to think of another one, but like they do a good job writing them. It's when they try to write the women characters that they have problems, but they do a good job writing the main male characters. And I think the reason why like women mangaka um are like more said now to give like to create more like better male characters is because they're just different from what we're used to seeing. And I think that's why people say that they're better. But I don't think it's better. I think it's just different than what we're used to seeing. Like we just need to see a different kind of male character because it's from a woman mangaka. Like with Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, because that one was written by a woman, I think.
Yeah.
And then with Ed in Full Metal Alchemist, um, in the actual like in Brotherhood specifically, we get to see a lot of range of emotions between him like I mean, like in his character growth, like he's like a hot-headed little like piece of shit. He thinks he's better than everyone, but he gets humbled a lot of the time, and the way he gets humbled, and how that affects him changes each time until we get to see how he grows up in the end. Um, and I think someone said it best on like Twitter. Who was it? I think it was Brandon. I think it was I Love Brandon on Twitter, the guy who's writing Star Child, but he was talking about Fullmetal Alchemist and how his character and how Ed's character is really cool because he's the type of character who at the end gave up his powers and not. I'm sorry if anyone hasn't finished Fullmetal Alchemist. It's been like 6 years, y'all. I mean, 10 years, 15 years. I don't know, but he's someone
Yeah.
who gave up his
It's been a
powers
while.
to at the end he just wanted to have like a normal life and live, with Winry and their adorable kids, and have Al have a regular body and like, not keep all of that same energy that he kept when he was a kid. So he actually grew out of the idea of being super powerful, which is rare for a character, for a male character. I feel like they usually either keep their power or they get more powerful. And that's usually like in their end goal somehow. So I wouldn't say that one is better than the other one, but I think that the women mangakas write male characters a little bit differently um, than what we're used to seeing in a lot of shonen anime or manga.
I feel you. It's
I'm trying to think of more.
I mean, I remember when I was thinking about it and when I had this idea for the topic, and I was like, I was just kind of lost because a lot of my favorite male characters are written by males. And I was thinking of like
Mhm.
some other characters though, because and I meant to look into this. Do you know if Akatsuki no Yona or Yona the Dawn is written by a female?
Oh, I don't know, and I've been meaning to watch that one too. Let me look it up.
Yeah, because I don't know why. I actually had the thought beforehand. I just forgot to do it. But yeah, because I remember when I found out that Full Metal Alchemist is written by a female, I was like, wow, that's really surprising. It was like a really because just the way Ed acted, you would
Hmm.
uh now that's probably gonna make me sound bad, but you would think that a male wrote, like
Hmm.
these characters. And then, but when I started paying attention more to how he responded to some things, and especially with how he responded to Renry and Brotherhood, I think it
Hmm.
became more evident on like the emotional ties to it. I was like, yeah, I can actually see where a female perspective came in
Hmm.
and really made this character very good. So it was like that, and
Um,
oh, you found it.
sorry, yeah, I was gonna say yeah, it is written by a woman,
So
Mizuho Kusanagi.
yep, and there we go. Another one of my favorites. The main character there, Hawk, what he has to go through and how he progresses. Uh, he's not the actual main character. The main character is Yona, but
Hmm.
he's the main male protagonist. So how he progresses and how he acts and looks at things and observes things. And for some of the more sentimental points, you could see you could, like it's kind of like you can like nowadays I can tell when it's a female perspective that's coming into these things instead of just
Hmm.
like a male perspective who is trying to understand, or at least somebody who has a great relationship with
Yeah.
another female. Because I think that was one thing I read in an old Kishimoto interview was like he tried to mirror some of his female characters at the women he knew.
Yeah.
Then like part way he changed his mind on it, and that's kind of where it got jumbled up.
Yeah.
But for a guy like Yuki Tabata who writes Black Clover, like the
Hmm.
way he does his females is because he correlates some females with people he knows, like Charmy. Charmy apparently is based off his wife.
Oh, that's cute. I like Charmy too.
Yeah, so it's like he based some of the females off people he knows, but he also bases them off of like how he would like to see a female grow and grow strong or already be strong.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's normally just so like for me, it's why it's like so easy to like his cast.
Hmm.
Because the females, not only do they have, some things where, yeah, sure, they can like the main character, or yeah, sure, they have their gimmicks and stuff, but they actually are in normally positions of power or they are powerful.
Yeah.
So I think like, for there, I like how and that correlates to the male characters and how they write them too.
Hmm.
But then when I look at some female characters like Tanjiro, female mangakas who made male characters like Tanjiro's a really easy, like you can't hate Tanjiro. It's like
You literally can't. He
it's
has all the areas.
and it's not even on something that's just it's not even just because he's kind, but because he's sensible, it's like
Yeah.
he's considerate and stuff like that. So he has these qualities that just you feel like a female would want a male to be sure to have. So it just feels like most times, like if a female mangaka does
Hmm.
it, like it's a more well-rounded character that you could just see like the other side had insight in.
Yeah.
And it feels like women
And I
understand
can
men
see that.
a lot better than men understand women.
And it may be, I don't really know like the process behind like a lot of the ones where like women are written for like shonen magazines and stuff. Like I don't know if they just do like if they are like the type who just like are asking men like, "Hey, is this character sound right to you?" Or if they're just like building stuff off of what they know. I don't know. I don't know how like that process works. I feel like we haven't heard as many like interviews from women who write shonen um about like how their characters are like how they make their characters. I have to look into some about for Full Metal Alchemist
Yeah,
but I mean that doesn't yeah, and it doesn't always mean that they write them better because I actually was looking up some and I was like and then I remembered Rumiko Takahashi who wrote Inuyasha and all those and those are technically they're supposed to be shonen.
I think it
But
counts. I was actually gonna bring
Inuyasha's
that up.
yeah, I'm like Inuyasha is an interesting character. And even though he's not, I mean, he is the title character of the show, so he technically is the main character. But it's it's
It feels
actually
like
Kagome. I don't really know,
yeah, yeah.
but
So it's like
yeah,
Kagome
like Kagome's the actual main character, but like he's like the main male character. So and he has issues, but like so that's not to say that women automatically just write better male characters because I mean if you watched Inuyasha then you'd know. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. There was another one I was supposed to. Oh, also Magi. Um, It's like a Netflix show, but it's also a manga that they never finished. But Magi and what's his name?
Alibaba and
I
Aladdin.
can't remember the.
You
And
give me
Alibaba and Aladdin, but the spinoff. What was the spinoff?
Oh, for Sinbad.
Sinbad. Sinbad is a great character to me. For not just because he looks good, not just because he's an adult.
I was gonna say that.
That looks great. I mean, that's one of the reasons. But also when we actually see like the spin-off series of him and like how he became like all powerful and stuff, I like how he was made because he feels like a typical shonen like character. Like he was just like a young kid who had a terrible life growing up, and he turned that around because he had a great personality and like attracted people to him, and they helped him like build his empire. So it was really cool. I liked that dynamic. And then that was written by a woman, and it still kind of followed the tropes of like having a nice character, but adding something to him. And he wasn't like and he was nice, but like he wasn't like the nicest character. He kind of still stuck with his like badassery. Like he was just like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna do this because I
Sinbad
can,
still had a cold.
and that's who I am.
Yeah, Sinbad definitely had a
Yeah,
cold streak to him, like what he did to Kyokoku.
yeah.
That's still one of my sore moments with Sinbad.
Ugh, ugh.
Because I was really going to like your character a lot, and I was like, I don't know how to feel about you. But even the
Yeah. And he's
character,
kind of like has that trickery part where you're like, do I trust? Because like he just like he just did this, and I don't really know if I like him. And it's like, yeah,
and then even for the character like Ren Cohen, like a really strong male character, but it's not like I don't really want to say toxic, but it's like being strong,
you
but
know,
also having a good personality to go with it. Because I
yeah,
remember when he was introduced, I thought I was like, this is gonna be that ruthless guy that's all powerful, macho, flexing. But then you find out like, oh, he's actually really interested in learning knowledge about the other world.
hmm
He's really considerate of his family. You know, he does actually care and love his family dearly, and he also loves his country dearly. So I was like, oh, this is a really interesting character. And it's like I don't know.
definitely.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know if it's because it's a female mangaka writing him, or if it's just because like that type of character is good in general.
Yeah, and that could be the case too, like the type of character
Yeah, so
that is.
that's why when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't know, because like I for male characters written by male authors, I really enjoy them. You know,
Yeah,
Luffy's one of my favorite characters. Like is well, not one of my Luffy is my favorite character of all of fiction. You know, and it's not just because it's the whole I'll never give up thing, but he actually has smaller qualities about him that makes me really like his character.
yeah,
Asta, another one of my favorites. You know, things he does makes me really like his character. I really like Issei. So I'm like, it's just like that thing where it's like that what if question. It's like it's also kind of like that question, like who's better, men or women? You never know. Like both sides have their issues,
hmm
but both sides have their things to help. I don't know. I kind of got lost in what I was trying to say. Either way, but yeah. So
I think
I
I get
feel
it.
like
Yeah,
it feels like it's just kind of impossible to answer, but you can kind of see where different attributes might come from the other side, like depending on which gender makes the story. You can kind of understand like why sometimes some things are done better. I mean, female mangakas, as much as I liked Magi, it took me a while, and I did like Morgiana. I thought it took way too long to
hmm
get a good character arc with a good personality and stuff.
hmm
So it's like sometimes female mangakas do really good on the male characters, and they can sometimes do like kind of good on the female characters, or they do
yeah,
both great on both. And then on male
Yeah.
mangaka, it's like, sometimes they can do really good on a male character, but then they drop the ball on the females.
Yeah.
So I feel like all
Definitely.
around, yeah, like it feels like all around, like female mangakas might do characters really like a little bit better or a lot better.
Mhm.
But then it's like, ah, but then it's like male mangakas do things just as good or better. So
Yeah.
it's just like that question that like depending on the person, that's how you get the
Yeah.
answer. I
Yeah.
just kind of
And it makes sense that like, you know, male mangakas do good on male characters because, you know, if they grow up as a young boy and, you know, go through things and they put that experience into their characters, then it's going to be a good character because it feels like real, you know, like they put themselves into the character or they put their experiences or something that they've been through in that character because, you know, that could represent a part of them. So it makes it feel real. And I think that's what, even though like I think women do that too with their characters, and I think that's why some of the male MCs get a lot of love like today, especially by women, because of the women characters will put some of themselves into their male MCs, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, I like how this character is, you know, compassionate and cares about people, but also wants to fight. Like that's cool. Like the combination of both. So like putting different areas into that I think is what makes each of the characters different. But again, they're not always great. Case in point, Inuyasha. So
yeah, and I mean, for my case in point on a male mangaka that doesn't write a good male character, it would be gone. I kind of don't really have a lot for gone. I have some things I like about him, but a lot of stuff a lot of stuff rubbed me the wrong way.
yeah, Gon's character is he just doesn't really grow. He doesn't really. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't really grow into anything. I like them being a kid. That's fun, but it can get old. It's like how long is he gonna
when
be a
it yeah,
kid? Like is
when
he?
it got to the more emotional parts or the more like mature parts, I felt like that's where his character really regressed instead of
Yeah,
matured.
yeah. Like he dealt with things as a kid still. Like he got really angry and like had a tantrum basically instead of like, you know, just learning to deal with the situation.
It's like an overdose on temper tantrum. That
Yeah,
almost killed him.
basically.
Yeah. Let me get off Gone before I go. I still want to work with the worst gen pie. I don't want them
I'm
coming
gonna
at
go
me.
back to it.
Just
It's
for
okay.
some,
They're already gonna come. They're gonna come after you for the Demon Slayer because we've talked about Tanjiro a lot. So
nah,
I'm just
man,
messing with them. They already
they,
know.
yeah, I'm about to say I'm a big fan of this. They'll roll with me. At least I got Sister GB on my side. But for some final thoughts. So do you have any like big final words on the topic itself on making a good male MC?
um, think as long as like you know they feel like a three-dimensional character who has different sides and is interesting, I feel like they're good. I feel like I like a lot of them. I think I'm liking a lot of the more recent ones. Um, a little bit more. I don't know if like how things are changing. I don't know if there's more women mangakas writing them or you know things like that. But or if they're just like male mangakas just writing characters with like a little bit more like depth to them. That makes it interesting. But I feel like I like them now. I feel like I'm liking them more than when I did as a kid. Which is
Yeah,
a good thing.
I agree. I'd have to say that, just throughout the conversation, I think like one of the things that really helps to make a good male MC is just making sure they develop correctly and
Hmm.
making sure that they're not just all muscle. It's like trying to find that perfect combination of like masculinity, but also I was about to say tenderness, but that's an old song. Trying to like male authors try a little tenderness. uh,
Just a little tender.
so like you do want them to be strong, but it's like a good male character is somebody that can actually show different aspects of like emotions while
Yeah.
also being, while also having some confidence. It's like if you can be emotional but confident, that would be cool.
Yeah. Or like grow into your confidence or like, grow into your emotion, or that helps fuel the confidence, like, have it play off each other.
But don't take too long because Rent a Girlfriend
Yeah.
is it's,
It's
they
getting
pull
close.
they
I
they
don't know.
pull that rope on the canyon, boy.
Like it's about to end. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? And I'm like, is it though? Because we still haven't seen one of the main girl characters. So I don't know. Maybe it's
I
gonna
don't
go
know,
longer than I thought.
but is this supposed to be 12 or it's supposed to be 24? Because
I
it
have
feels
no.
like
It feels like 12, but I mean, we've only seen 3 of the girls, and we just barely met the third girl. So I'm like, are we gonna meet the other one? We'll see. But they're getting close, so they better like, do something.
yeah. Although I don't have any hopes. I think he's gonna stay the same. So sometimes a little bit too much tenderness.
Yeah, it might be.
But but definitely, it was a fun conversation. I really enjoyed getting your thoughts on this topic on how to make good male MCs. Your examples. What's even though it's mainly for you, but what women kind of want to see in a male character.
I know not everybody wants to see the fine character, but that's high on my list.
About to say if men can always get their waifus, women can always get their husbandos.
Exactly. As long as the
But
playing field is level. Sorry, go ahead.
But thanks again, Phoenix, for coming out on the show. Glad to work with you again.
No problem. It was super fun. Thanks for inviting me on. It was fun to talk about. I think it was a good topic.
No problem. And be sure to check out the Anime Tea. It is always great topics. It is always great conversations. I really enjoyed your last one that you had talking about the Netflix anime.
Thanks. And sorry in advance, I haven't been posting regularly on my podcast. I've been posting on YouTube a lot, but not on my podcast regularly. But I'm getting back on it. So stay tuned.
And
The Netflix one is fun.
we got real life. Yeah, we got real life to live. We got character development to get ourselves.
Like I am a character and I need to grow.
My plot's thickening a little bit right now, so that's how I go.
Yeah.
But thanks again. Really enjoyed it. And for everybody else, be sure to, if you're watching this on YouTube at least, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can keep getting more content like this. And also be sure to support the Anime Tea and Phoenix because it's great content over there too.
Thank you.
All right. Catch y'all later. And all right, Curtis not here, so I guess I got to do it. Be sure to surpass your limits and plus ultra.
This shit is too easy. Tell them I have no rivals. When I walk up in the spot, they know they nothing to me, and they gotta beg for their survival.